Hey everyone, welcome back to the Couples Money Revelation podcast. I know it's been a while. I'm your host, Brian Medlin, and I really want to thank you today. It's been a bit since I really made a new episode, but it's for good reason. Some of you know, but some of you don't. I'm also a tax manager on the side, so I do taxes, and obviously the last 2 weeks or so has been absolute nuts with the end of tax season. But my brain cells were pretty much like pouring into that, I guess you could say, right? So I do apologize for not having an episode for like a month, but it was with good reason, as I said. So let's get right into the topic of settling and assuming when it comes to you and your partner's financial situation. The word, settling, when we talk about settling, it comes up so much in our lives, just in general, right? We become content with situations, I guess you could say. It might be, content with your man or your marriage, your job, where you're at. Sometimes we think when it comes to work that if we don't have this skill or if we don't have this degree, that where you are currently is really the highest spot you're ever going to get, right? The funny thing is, I've seen it a lot lately when it comes to money too. Settling, right? And you're saying, well, what do you mean, Brian? How are we settling with our situation right now? Well, let's start with inflation, right? It's a hot topic right now. Inflation still 2 years later. It's hit us hard. And for a lot of us, we settled into this kind of mindset, I think, that, oh, well, everything went up in price, right? Therefore, my $1 doesn't really hold up as much. Okay. To an extent, for a long time, that was really true, you guys. And to a bit of a part right now, as I'm recording this, absolutely certain categories. But what people didn't really pay attention to is in the last month or two, most people don't even realize this, but the inflation rates are back down to 3.5%. They're no longer at 7 or 8%. Gas overall, if you paid attention in the last couple months, at least in Michigan, and a lot of people around the country have told me in other states too that I know, they've cooled down a little bit, you know? Just about a month ago, I was paying, $3 a gallon around here for regular, 3.09. That's not bad. Now they went up a little bit the last couple weeks, but I mean, if you can still pay 350, 360, that's not horrible, you guys. Now going out to eat, like restaurants, there's no way around it because I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I mean, it's ridiculous. Prices of everything has gone up there by 20%, 30%, 40%. It's expensive to go out to eat, and that's why a lot of people aren't anymore. But overall, we settled on this mindset, right? We settled when it came to say, oh, my debt has gone up. My income has barely gone up. Not at all. Some people, right? They barely get raises. So there's no way I'm going to beat inflation. There's no way I can save for retirement. There's no way we can afford to go on a vacation. There's just no way. I'm here to tell you guys right now that that mindset doesn't need to be in your brain anymore. Even when it seems like it is impossible to do everything, it can be done. I promise you. Yes, there's some factors, of course, right? Of course, there's some factors. Income versus expenses is a huge factor on that. Other responsibilities, such as kids, maybe spouses that sometimes we see in the tax world too, that can't work for medical reasons, might be on disability. You know, it's not going to look the same for every single person. I got that. But even with all that, there is a path to your version of financial clarity and control. Now, in assuming, that's another word, right? That's where our second word becomes relevant. Assuming makes an ass out of me and you. That's an old one, right? But it's true. We assume that we're just not good with our money. We assume that our spending habits just never going to be broken. We assume that we are going to have to admit we are stuck at our job and none of our money woes will ever be able to be fixed. We'll never be able to get out of that job. Assuming, to an extent, is giving up. It's a harsh reality. It really is. But it is relevant, you guys, to this conversation. It's almost kind of like a lot of us gave up recently. We felt hopeless. We felt behind. We felt like we were always chasing. You guys, I'm going to take it back a weekend, okay? Because this hit home. Shout out to my favorite pastor of all time at church, Pete Wilson, just a realistic guy from Tennessee. And he hits home on every single one of his speeches, of his speeches to our church when he comes. One of the best quotes came from him last weekend, and I wrote it down. And it went like this, you guys. You are so focused on what you can't do instead of focusing on what you can do. Let me repeat that. You are so focused on what you can't do instead of focusing on what you can do. What a bullseye quote, huh? Dead on. So let's relate it to our conversation today. Essentially, the conversation last weekend, let me put it in context because it was church, right? The conversation last weekend with this quote was discussing how we try and do everything. And how, in this case, we do not allow Jesus to kind of take the wheel sometimes when we're trying to do too much and show us the guidance that we need to overcome X, Y, and Z when we can help A, B, and C, but maybe not do this, not do that. You got to have faith in him, was the conversation basically, right? So it's the same with your money, right? You can't do it all by yourself. Even as a coach, I can't do everything by myself. Now, it might look like something like you guys are trying to work overtime to get as much money as possible. It might be that you're consistently going with the go, go, go mindset, right? Go, not taking a step back to see how it is negatively impacting yourself, your family, and your money, and your future. I'm in no way calling financial coaches, advisors, or myself Jesus, you guys. Let's take a step back. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just trying to compare it. So just hang tight on that conversation, right? But what I am saying is that maybe, just maybe, you and your partner need that guiding hand to overcome what is too much for you. Maybe it's time to let your guard down, admit it's just too much. And I'm going to tell you a little secret, guys. It's okay. It's okay. I promise you, nobody's here to judge you. In fact, they should commend you for admitting that you need some help. It's part of life, you guys. It really is. We need help on everyday things that we don't know how to do and we don't know how to overcome. That's as simple as it gets. It really is. Thanks for tuning in today. I appreciate this. You know, if this hit home, I want you guys to do something for me. If you're watching on YouTube, drop this comment below. Help. Just the word help. If you're listening and you can't figure out how to comment on Spotify or anything like that, which is difficult, especially if you're driving around, I want you to go home. I want you to write me an email. In the subject line, just put help. When you type, just say, hey, maybe it's you, maybe it's your partner, maybe it's just somebody you know that could use some help when it comes to the situation. Just say, hey, my cousin needs help, or my daughter, whatever. And do the same in the YouTube below. You hit it. I'll hit up the comments, guys. I appreciate you listening. Drop help in there. Write me an email, brian@madelinefinancialcoaching.com, if you or somebody you know needs help. Because guess what, guys? There's a pretty good chance I can help. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time on the Couples Money Revelation Podcast. Stay blessed and positive.